10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah, I would agree. The other factor is that French don't really sustain their economy that well after their fur trade effect wears off. Um, their units are reasonably expensive and they're maintaining more population than most other civs. So once that effect wears off, their economy is going to drop a lot harder.
Yeah.
Another thing to factor in, since we are on the fan patch and most of the viewers probably aren't aware, France has received some pretty significant changes in the fan patch. They no longer have food silos, so their economy at 40 is a little bit reduced as a result of that because they don't fur trade nearly as much anymore. Um, they've lost the engineering school card as well, and gendarmes have had a pretty significant nerf to them in order to make it so they're not as overpowering anymore.
Yeah.
There's some other minor changes in there as well, like the change to the cannon card and other stuff, but those don't have as big of a fundamental impact. They're more minor shifts. The full patch notes are online, so for anyone who's curious and wants to go over them, feel free. Germany hasn't really changed much at all. They're still pretty much exactly the same. The only real difference is that they no longer receive Ulans with their shipments anymore. So they also got back the full regular experience rate that a normal European civilization has. And heavy cannons are now capped at 4, and the infinite heavy cannon card costs coin as well. To be specific, it costs 400 coin. Yeah, resources look good as well.
Yeah.
Beyond that one hunt for Dick.
Actually, I didn't like Dictator Start. If you play France a bit in Supremacy, you know that you can easily get a market first and then a house without reaching getting housed.
Yeah.
So actually it's slightly less resources now because his market ups are late. It's not really a big deal. It's maybe just 10 to 15 more resources.
But it's a slight difference, and also the longer time that the hunting dogs is in effect, the better the economy is going to be for the rest of the game too.
Yeah.
So that's a slight disadvantage.
I don't really I don't know if I like Dictator's deck as well. I wouldn't play with Colbertism, instead with exotic hardwood, and during your boom you put your factories on food and have 15 CDBs on wood. It's, I guess, more efficient in terms of gaffer rates.
Yeah.
But I'm not really sure about it.
My view has generally been as well that if you're going to take a trickle card, you should be taking the wood trickle because it's the slowest gathering resource. So over the long haul, it's worth more than the equivalent food trickle.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess it makes your boom slightly worse if you don't have exotic hardwood right now with France.
Yeah.
And Colbertism is the worst trickle card compared to wood and gold as trickle.
Yep. Yeah, the wood trickle has the advantage of also speeding up your upgrades in Age 2. You can get your market ups a little bit quicker. It also makes it so you don't have to gather wood for the...
for any houses.
Yeah, for any houses, or also, what's it called? Placer mines in Age 1.
Yeah.
You can get that without ever gathering wood. So it's a slight boost to the overall early game, which I think holds better than Colbertism's slight food trickle. For Germany, we see standard decks, so nothing really to comment on there. I wouldn't expect to see a difference in decks.
And Dictator also has the church cut in his deck. Which, I don't know.
Depends on if you're just taking that for overpop. If you're just taking it for overpop, I don't necessarily think it's a terrible thing. Or if it's replacing, some people used to send the CDB speed card. If it's basically replacing that in the build order, then that also makes sense because you still get the 10% speed, you get the additional HP on your CDBs, and you get a larger start army. So
yeah, might be good on this map if you have a bigger start army, so you can try to get control of your opponent's net posts.
Yeah, and it gets you Imperial Grenadiers as well, which Grenadiers aren't the best unit, but if you're using them for something like a split push where you're gonna use or send your Grenadiers to the other guy's natives, they're pretty decent for that kind of scenario because they have a decent amount of HP and siege damage. So if they get in there, they can just bust down the nat post really quick. And they're a little more resilient to getting hit by cav or something like that, so they can get the post down to get you that time by. We'll see if it comes into play though, because he may not even really send it until after 40. But I don't really see why you would include Church Card to not send it before 40 if you're...
Yeah.
Like, if its main benefit is the larger start army, I would take the start army. The rest of the deck is pretty standard. I'm not really sure how I feel about the Huron card now. At only 20. Sorry, at only 15. It's only at 15 now.
They're still a really tanky unit, so...
That's true.
The first, 10 minutes, it's okay to send them. But yeah, they're kinda expensive for 15 only.
The one card that I think I'd probably favor over it now is the 6 Corsair card, the Infinite 6 Corsairs. Because if you're going to have an Infinite card, you might as well be getting that,
Oh, you mean the 4 Cuirassiers?
Oh yeah, 4.
Yeah.
But it's essentially 12 population worth of units that you're getting for free with every shipment. And we already know how good that is from looking at civilizations like Japan, where Infinite 6 Naginata is probably one of the best Infinite cards in the game. I mean, beyond free rockets. But if it's any Infinite card that you spend nothing on and get a lot of stuff out of, I think has a lot of value.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think in general, Cav should be favored over Infantry for Infinite cards because it forces your opponent to produce Musketeers or Dragoons or something like that, which is generally more countered by the standard unit of treaty, which is a skirmisher type unit. So I guess one thing we can also see is Dick is doing a pretty darn good job of herding. He's got his CDBs out, already pushing the herds in towards his base. Across the map, Lucas is doing, or not really herding right now, which could hurt him some. Especially with German, I feel like you want about 2 or 3 hunts already in your base with your starting hunt by the time you're in age 3, because then you don't have to go very far to get your food.
Yeah, and he could actually easily do it, because he has 2 hunts close to his starting TC.
Yep.
And usually
Actually, he's got 3, because he's got the one on the bottom too.
Yeah, right. And he could also place just the mills next to the hunts.
Yep.
And that's almost no walking time for your settler wagons then.
Yep. It's one of those things that's very easy to forget, and a lot of times people will wind up like missing it in games. Even yesterday, I noticed in your German Mirror versus Lucas, Lucas had did a better job of hurting than you had in that game, and we felt that that might have been attributable to the score differential.
Yeah.
There's a spider on my wall that I need to kill. It is now dead, and I'm gonna go toss this in the trash.
So Dictator actually has a lot of villagers on food. He switched now. I don't know how his food resource distribution is, but he might have fucked up a little bit.
Sorry, I'm back now. What were you saying?
Dictator had a lot of CDBs on food and only like 4 villagers on gold. I don't know if he fucked up because I can't see the
It looks like
distribution.
It looks like he messed up some. He's probably he's about 200 food ahead of where he should be.
Okay.
Because he's already capable of aging on food, but he's 200 down on coin.
Okay. Yeah, he already shot the herd which was in his nets, closer to his TCs. Already put 4 CDBs there.
Yep.
So,
That's one of the things that Colbertism does help with, I suppose, is that if you get hunt screwed, it's a little better. It might actually be slightly superior in a 3v3 for that scenario because of the fact that oftentimes you wind up with less than ideal hunts in 3v3. Because it might delay getting onto mills, which might actually add more to the score in a 3v3. Never really thought about it that way, but... Yeah, Dictator was about 300 food ahead of where he needed to be. He's aging now, but that's a little bit of a miss macro. It happens, though. I mean, no one's perfect. Even Dick makes mistakes. Oh, that back herd was painful. Every time I see a frickin' hunt back herd, I'm just like, I just want to like stand there and smack the frickin' guanacos and tell them, no, you go in the direction that I told you to go.
usually, if you just want to shoot them back, and they already back herded once, they go even further away.
Yeah, yeah, guanacos especially are extra retarded, where it doesn't matter what you do, they just go in whatever direction they want. I mean, you can just click on one and look at the frickin' portrait and tell me that thing doesn't look very dumb. It looks like his resources are lining up pretty well, though, for going to industrial. He's basically hitting age 3, sorry, he already was hitting age 4, so his resources are not lining up exactly. He's in a decent position to go to Imperial, but he's a little down on coin, I think.
Yeah,
because he's
already
got...
calculated the 1k gold crates in, I guess.
Yeah, but even after the 1k, I think he's going to be down like 200-ish coin. So it'll be a slight difference, but not a massive one, because he's at like 3.2k food right now, but only 2,500 coin. And even once that crate is done, he'll still be down a couple hundred coin. But the same is kind of true for Lucas. He's in a similar position. Actually, no, he's just started his H up to 4. So he's actually slightly ahead on coin and slightly down on food, but that's pretty normal for the German boom at this stage. You're usually a little deprived on food because you've basically been dumping it all into settler wagons and villagers.
Yeah, it's really hard to estimate it well with German boom.
Yep.
Because you get so many wills in such a short time, and then to manage it correctly is really, really difficult for H4.
I still think he'll be fine. He's got plenty of hunts, which are the faster gathering of the two. And in general, I'd rather err on the side of having too much coin than too little, because it lets you speed up getting your wood chopping upgrades and things like that as well. Yep, Dictator's going to Imperial Age now, so he'll have a pretty good Imperial time here.
Yep.
Already got his 2 factories out, both of them on food right now. So I'm wondering if he's going to go with both nope, there we go, both factories to wood now. So he was just doing that in the age up, probably to try and get a little bit of extra food.
Yeah, he might have needed it for the Imperial wood upgrade, because you need 1k food.
Well, he's down the most on wood, which is what I would expect you would generally...
He already changed 2 mills, yeah.
Yeah. Like, generally speaking, you're going to transition into more wood because you're going to need the 2k wood, and that's the slowest thing to gather. So you want to start stockpiling that in the age up time. So, I guess, discussing the actual fight matchup itself, once you get past the booms, because we can keep nitpicking small mistakes and things like that throughout the boom, but ultimately they usually don't add up to that much. Maybe a couple points difference here and there. The thing that's really going to matter to me is what the start armies look like and what the compositions are. I think that French basically have to win the artillery war for the first 10 minutes to be able to beat German. And that should let them get a strong push going to actually beat back the opponents. Or the opponent being Germans. Especially because the artillery dominance factor should be easier for French with the fact that they already have 120 pop, although German could delete down to match that. But their army is maybe a little less pop efficient because of war wagons being a 3 pop unit, and the fact that they have kind of a semi-pop inefficient setup if they want to do that skirm war wagon composition. Although, at the same token, Corsairs are also 3 pop, so it kind of balances out a little bit. However, French would actually have the stronger, like, enduring economy at that point because of the fact that they'll have essentially 100 vil economy on only 80 population.
Yep. And also, France has better skirms and stronger nets, so it's a slight advantage.
Yep. Especially the skirmisher advantage, since that's kind of the base unit of treaty in my brain, is like skirmishers are the core of the composition and everything else is just built around them, either to protect them or kill them. I would say that whoever generally has the stronger skirmisher is in a better position for treaty matches.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Germany just can compensate it in this matchup because of their high, rest bank they can get before 40 compared to France. Like, they get almost double the amount of resources.
Which it feels weird talking about it in that sense, because if we still had food silos, then res bank would actually be pretty similar between the two.
Yeah. But Dictator also has to trade really early in this matchup.
Yeah.
Because you have to be really careful to not get out of food when you spam so many nets, and without food silos, it can happen. And it already happened on the normal patch if you weren't careful enough. When
That's
they had
very
food
true.
silos.
That's very true. The other thing that I'm going to be very curious to see, let's see, how many bills does Dick actually have on wood right now? Only
Not many, I guess, like 10 or more.
maybe 14. Let's
Yeah.
see. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, I guess. 12 on wood. That seems about right. Especially with factories on wood, 12 to 14 on wood should be roughly what you need to be able to get all the wood for your upgrades. My one concern is that he might be a little low on his wood bank at 40 because French do have a lot of things to upgrade since they have skirmisher, musketeer, hand cav, range cav, plus all the artillery.
Yeah, actually I wouldn't upgrade muskets and goons in this matchup. I guess they are not really necessary.
Goons I can
Them.
understand. Muskets I don't know if I would agree. I think in low econ situations, musket as a tank is a good unit.
Of course you gamble that you win the game before the 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And as long as you can nets, you don't need muskets, that's why.
That's true.
It's like a little gamble.
Although there is some benefit to having like a handful of muskets with your army, just like 10 or so to help buffer. The fact that they are a ranged unit but also somewhat resistant to nets and other things that'll hit them in melee does have a lot of benefit. It's kind of like the same reason you'll sometimes make a round of 10 or so DOPs in a German army, even with nats, just because it'll help to buffer against the opponent's nats.
Yeah, it's true.
However, French muskets aren't really that good to make them like worthwhile in that sense.
I don't even know
I think
if they have better stats than Russian muskets on fan patch. I don't know.
they're still better than Russian muskets because Russian muskets don't get any upgrades through cards or like Royal Guard or anything. So they're 10% weaker than like a French musket would be.
Okay.
Because the only effect each civ is getting for them is the upgrades from Advanced Arsenal. Pretty standard build out from the German too, just tons of frickin' plantations. Weird barracks position there. I'm just gonna put a barracks right in the middle of my base. I wonder if he's expecting to get his base invaded at this point.
Yeah, he did this versus me too. He just built the Rex there. Just in case. For Huminka box.
You gotta worry about that gendarme box. Make sure you're not
yeah.
gonna get raided right at 40. Because Dick is so known for his off-the-ball tactics.
Yeah. Can never predict Dictator, what he's gonna do next.
Actually,
Dictator has a stuck will.
we're allowed to tell them about things like that, so long as we're being fair to both players.
Yeah, Lucas didn't switch to plantations yet.
That's fine. You generally just wait until all of your cards are in, which he might be waiting on like the last coin card.
Yeah, but you can also just make like 10 skirms from a Rex, and then you have like enough XP for the last plantation card.
That's true. It's not a huge difference either way, though. Essentially, you just overgather some wood and take a few extra off wood. I mean,
Yeah, but it's fine for German to
Yeah.
get like more wood. It's okay if you have like 30k.
yeah, because you're going to spend it all on nets anyway, so it's not a huge deal either way. Yep, there we go. The last coin card just arrived, so I would expect him to start transitioning fairly soon. I guess we can go over card order 2, which shouldn't be too surprising for anyone. Dictator's card order is Colbertism, Economic Theory, Refrigeration, both factory cards, Sustainable Agriculture, Church Tech, then Advanced Arsenal, so we will be seeing that larger overpop army. Lucas's card order is going to probably be the standard German card order, which is Economic Theory, Refrigeration, Germantown Farmers, Royal Mint, both factories. Then you send Guild Artisans and your mill upgrades, so Sustainable Agriculture and Food Silos, and then all of your coin upgrades, which would be Textile Mill, Cigar Roller, and Rum Distillery. Dick has also already sent Thoroughbreds for his Corsairs, which makes them cheaper and instant at 40, provided he gets the card out for riding school, which decreases them by 40%. We still haven't removed the train speed reduction from Thoroughbreds, so that is actually a decent advantage after the first fight, because you don't even have to wait on the native upgrades. You can just immediately start flooding.
So both are aiming for a fight next to the cliffs, not in the center, because both are building their front bases close to the cliffs. So it will probably be like the last game, that they will fight between the nets to get control.
I think yesterday we
Yes, but
basically
yeah.
saw the reasoning behind why you would start in this position anyway, which is if your army is too far to the center and you have a split situation, it's very hard to then split your army and actually like counteract that push unless you already have an FB there, and sometimes the time to set up the FB can put you in a worse position. Whereas if you have your army kind of in this position right beside the natives, all you do is move some pop over and you can immediately be defending.
Yeah.
Dick using that glorious rotator mod for his buildings.
Wow. We should ban him.
Dick's a hacker, confirmed.
Yeah, disadvantage, it's too much. You can squeeze like one more Rex than usually.
Actually, Lucas is kind of extending his base more towards the center, which is interesting. I would expect more buildings to go up kind of over on that side portion. I mean, some of that going towards the center I expect, but I'm surprised there isn't like an additional stable or something like that over near where that TC is.
Lucas is actually having a really good boom. He might hit 2.7k.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility.
It's really close. I don't know if you lose score if you switch factories to heavy cannons. I'm not sure.
I think you lose
if you
some
get more
score.
if you get more resources compared to the cost of a heavy cannon. I'm not sure.
I think you're
But maybe
slightly...
it doesn't even make heavy cannons in this situation. So because they are too immobile if Dictator starts to split push somewhere in the beginning.
Yeah, there's also the. I'm actually curious what the Start Army will look like because thinking about it logically, you shouldn't really be able to win the artillery war against French in the first fight, no matter how you contest it. I mean, you're not going to throw it away, but you don't want to do something that's going to bank on winning the artillery war, like uh, building a ton of heavy cannons. Because if you go full 4 heavy cannon, which is a really immobile army, and you lose Gulf War, and then you get flooded with gendarmes that are instant after the first fight, you will probably lose your entire position.
Yeah, this can happen. But usually you have like 10 dots behind your course and just wait until he comes with cav at you.
Yeah, but I don't know if 10 tops would be enough to, like, deal with the gendarme before they could clear out the artillery.
Yeah, they're quite tanky, so maybe they survive long enough. But gendarmes also have a really low, base attack, so they're actually not that great anymore versus cannons.
That's true. It will definitely be interesting to see. I mean, I'd expect basically like a skirm, maybe a handful. Well, I don't even know if you'd necessarily make dragoons. Maybe you make some muskets in the first fight, or first army, just to have some anti-cav in there instead of dragoons. And then you do gendarmes and artillery. That way, if you are facing against Uhlans or something weird like that, like a Dapulan army, you don't wind up in a screwball position. But you could actually go like a pure cav and skirm army, even though that's not necessarily the best, depending on what what your opponent's composition is.
Yeah, muskets is actually quite a good choice versus Germany in the first 2 minutes. Because Germany tries to stop your push with Uhlans and Dobbs, and muskets are quite good versus both of these units.
Yeah, I think that I would be surprised to not see at least maybe 15, 20 muskets in the Start Army. I don't expect an overkill amount, but just enough to ensure that you have some stability after the first fight. And yes, guys, we are playing on the Treaty Fan Patch. This first game is a best of 1. This is the first game of the day. We did play 4 games yesterday. The results of the 4 games yesterday were that Sabusa walked away from both of his games with 2 wins. Dictator and Lucas both walked away 1-1. And Gitchin Lord, my co-caster, unfortunately fell 0-2. Which actually, an interesting discussion point might be who would be a better matchup against Sabusa in the finals as well. Dick is certainly like the most mechanically talented of any treaty player, and the most overall sound, I would say. I think Lucas is maybe a little faster at adapting to the meta and dealing with wonky things, which I think is kind of where Sabusa shines, is putting people in weird situations.
Yeah, but I guess Dictator would be a better choice versus Sabusa. With the current meta, at least.
That's true. I also think if Dick decides to play to his strengths and pick civs like British and French and Germany, and Sabusa tries to rely on his more kind of off-meta picks, that Dictator will have the advantage simply because of the strength of the civs that he would be picking as well.
Yeah.
And especially, Sabusa doesn't have a lot of practice on British, so I think that I would be shocked if Dick does not pull out Brits in his series, or if he gets to the finals to face Sabusa. I'm not necessarily certain if Lucas would, because I'm not sure if Lucas really enjoys playing Brits that much. I think Lucas would fall back to other picks.
I'm not sure. Like on Orinoco, I'm sure he would pick Brit. They can, I don't know. Maybe he won't pick Port there. Maybe France or Dutch, but I'm not sure. Because, I don't know, if Dutch is that great on Deccan. I would rate them like top 3, but compared to Port.
Well, with the mortar
It's a
range
tough
nerf, to me, I think it should play out pretty decently. Econ is going to be fairly similar, and Deccan actually has a huge accelerant effect for Dutch because of the additional starting crates. That really helps you to get your first bank and your second bank quite a bit faster, which basically balloons your income at a faster rate. So I would expect that to easily be an additional like 100 to maybe even 150 points to their boom.
Yeah. So Lucas made 3 heavy cannons already. 4th is on the way. Probably will stop at 4 heavy cannons. Actually, there is the cap for heavy cannons, right?
Yeah, there's a
only have
cap.
4. But there is also a bug. If you if you have both factories on heavy cannons, you can actually get 5. It's also a bug with Ottoman and villagers because you can get 100 villagers. So it's,
Yeah, I'm
guess
pretty
a
sure that's just a
hard-coded bug.
game engine bug.
Yeah. There's not really much you can do about it.
Interesting to see the approach he's taking to get the heavy cannons too, rather than just putting both factories on heavy cannons to pump them out 2 at a time. He's just got 1, and then he's got the other one sitting on wood.
I guess it's actually better to have only 1 factory, because if you have to switch back to your resources, you lose some like 3 seconds on like a normal resource when you switch back from heavy cannons to a resource, if you have both. But if you only have 1 factory producing the heavy cannons, you just lose like 2 to 3 seconds on 1 factory. So 30 more resources. Wow.
Hey, those 13 resources might be enough to sway the game.
So Dictator actually traded really late.
Yeah, he's got
I don't like it.
he's got 86k coin right now, so, and still upgrading actually. So he's actually, let's see, when exactly did Fur Trade arrive? Fur Trade arrived at 34.50 or 45. Sorry, 34.45. So he sent it basically at 34.
Yeah, I don't like his boom at all. It's so risky. He has no wood, no food.
Yeah, he only has 3.6k wood and he has about 5k food right now. And he's still dumping into upgrades right now because he doesn't have the full church tech stuff done yet. And the Grenadiers all cost food, so each round that he sends out for those is going to cost it more. The army comp is about what I was anticipating. I would expect some skirmishers to pop from one of the buildings at some point, but maybe he's just going to try and rely on the Grenadiers to kind of fill that role. Would be an interesting choice.
So Lucas, he probably won't get to 2.7k. Yeah.
Well, he'll at least be like in the high 2.6k range, like 2,650 or so.
Yeah. But I'm really surprised that Dictator traded so late. He should have learned from his game with Ottoman yesterday that trading late is kinda risky, and it actually lost him the game versus Sabusa.
Yeah. I'm also interested in the idea that he's kind of going with composition wise, which is just a crap ton of horse artillery and banking on basically winning the first fight, and then using the muskets, the mantlets, and the grenadiers to kind of buff up his army to have some kind of unit there to hold. I'm a little surprised, like his little flank over here, I'm a little surprised it doesn't have some grenadiers in the mix. I would honestly favor having like 5 grens with that because of the siege effect of taking down one of the posts. One of the intelligent things Lucas is doing here, though, is he's kind of anticipating this to an extent, and he's planning to take the back post so he doesn't get in a situation like what happened in your game versus him yesterday, where the post was denied for a couple of minutes.
Yep.
It's a smart adaptation.
Yeah, actually it looks like Dictator just want to defend his nets and not really push them.
Yes.
Because he could have put way more units there. And looks like he just wants to
also
fight in center.
Lucas deleted down to 53 regular villagers, by the way.
Okay. I would maybe actually kill more versus France, but it's fine.
So here, we're just going to want to be really careful to focus on this artillery fight.
Yeah, Lucas should lose it, because his crews are too stacked.
Yeah, he lost too much in that first volley. He lost like 4-3. And the slight advantages make a huge difference.
Well, it's actually okay, because
it's only one curve still standing.
Yeah, one curve, and he can
yeah, he'll kill it with these Ulans.
Yeah, and both just try to wall up the nets now. And
interesting. He did upgrade dragoons as well, so he upgraded both muskets and dragoons. I feel like the dragoons are not necessary. You should basically pick one. Am I going to upgrade my skirmishers or my dragoons? Or, sorry, my muskets or my dragoons?
Now because he still has his heavy cannons out, so...
That's true. But even then, I'd probably just buffer with other hand cav, because that's not a half bad thing to do while you're waiting to get muskets or a hard counter out, is to just buffer with a couple of hand cav that'll run in there, snag them, and then you bring up your muskets and you wind up killing them then.
Oh, yeah, and Dictator gonna lose all his horse artillery now.
Yep. And you can also see Lucas is kind of trying to split using natives and some skirmishers over on the side to maybe force Dick to split his attention and fight there as well.
Yeah, it's a smart idea, because France needs their nets more than Germany does in this matchup, in my opinion. And especially then that France has to push in this matchup.
The other interesting thing is, even though he lost the call for, he's actually managed to keep his heavy cannons alive. He's now down to only 1, but he's had him alive for like 2 minutes now, which is a pretty significant period of time. That's why if you basically have a situation like we did where you wind up with a Culve trade, it's actually slightly advantageous for the guy with heavy cannons because they're so durable.
Yeah, it's true. So, I would guess Dictator already is at really low wood, right?
He's at about 2k wood and 12, 13k food. Yeah,
Lucas is also getting punished now for not really walling. And Dictator was able to put some walls really in front of Lucas' space and can now mortar behind it.
Yep.
And Lucas is still trying to push into Dictator's nets. What at least to distract him. Also making 2 mods now, so maybe he's going to try to jump more later to the net.
Yeah, you can also see like the unit comp in the queue is pretty much just for Dictator, handful of muskets. He's just continuing to kind of sure up his victory here. I like that he's taking that trade post. One thing you could do is take the other one as well. Yep, there we go. You might as well, especially in this scenario, because if you upgrade it and just put it on wood, it can actually act kind of like a third factory.
Yeah. Yeah, you should notice it and try at least to destroy 81 on the left side.
Yeah.
So Lucas is actually getting close to get to Dictator's net post. He has 2 mods already there. He could actually move them up to destroy Dictator's front base in the nets.
Yep, and the only thing that I would say is I wish he'd put a stable somewhere around there, because in situations like this where it's only a handful of muskets, something that's nice to do is just flood with some cav to basically, if he's going to make skirms or something else like that, he can't really do anything. And it gets you a little bit of a pressure advantage.
I'm just gonna look at these gendarmes now in nets to see how good they are. Because I never really looked at the damage. No, it's okay. Not really a big deal. Yeah, actually Lucas is training more than Dictator right now. Because Dictator always had like 4 horse artillery out and Lucas wasn't really able to kill them, so he was trading less cost efficient. Also, he is just trying to push through a small gap to Dictator's nets, which is also not really efficient.
Dick is completely out of wood now, too. He has like 200 wood. And only about 4.7k food. So he's in the situation you basically were describing where
yeah,
he traded too early.
Wood now from market, to be honest. Just get like 3k wood.
The problem is he doesn't even have that big of a wood or coin bank either. I mean, it's bigger than Lucas's right now, but it's not like ginormous. It's only 52k, which you can easily burn through in the next like 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how much you're producing.
Yeah, you can actually notice right now Dictator can't push anymore, and also he can't really defend his nets. He already lost one now. Lost almost all of his FB, only 1 Rex left and 2 foundries. So yeah, Dictator's struggling now. Maybe Lucas gonna like understand the problem Dictator's in.
I wish I could see what the trade route is on.
It should be good. Maybe you can like observe if a train passes through.
No, that's what I was trying to do. Unfortunately, you can't. I would assume it's wood as well, but I guess the only way I would know is when the train runs through, I'd see like a jump up on wood, but...
Is the game laggy right now? Or is it just for me?
I'm not seeing... There's a little bit of lag, but...
Because, I don't know why, but it's really laggy for me. I'm gonna close some.
Okay. Dick is also down to only 1,500 food now. So, at this point, this is where Lucas should just be able to start overwhelming him by spamming nats and skirms and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, Dictator's just training now, but Lucas is not. I would like to see some dobs at Dictator's trading posts. But
yeah, I agree.
He's not really aiming at them right now.
It's one of those things, though, that doesn't take too much APM, and if your opponent's already draining on a resource, it just forces them to drain harder. So I would easily, or definitely send like 2 dops and just try to burn it down. They either split some army to try and keep the trade post, or they lose the trade post, both of which are advantageous to you in this kind of situation.
Actually, Lucas is stopping to push in net and focusing more on center right now, trying to get through.
Lucas is also down an additional 10 vills now. He's at 42 instead of the 53 that he was at the start. So he's deleted down even a little bit more to help him keep this push going. Or they might have just died during FBing or something like that.
How much food does Dictator have?
100.
Okay, so he's basically dead. Okay.
Yeah, this is a really bad scenario for Dick because there's not much he's going to be able to do to hold in this scenario, whereas Lucas is still at 23k food, 15k wood, 20k coin, so he can keep this up for a while. He's got many, many, many minutes of doing this.
Yeah, and soon heavy cannons are out,
and then it's
Dictator's
over.
pretty much dead. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm actually quite surprised that Dictator did this mistake. Trading so late.
I understand trying to maximize his economy, but if you get in a situation like this, you're just dead. You're basically banking on winning so hard in the first fight.
Yeah. Lucas is now jumping back to nets.
That's a smart thing to do, especially if you're winning already on economy. If you're forcing a person to split so they don't have the ability to micro as efficiently and like turn it into an artillery war, basically a split situation is almost always a spam war, and if you're ahead, that favors you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see how desperate Dick is to try and keep these posts up as well, based on the fact that like he pushes back and immediately starts building it as well.
Yeah, and now, yeah, you can't really do anything with the free mods right now. No cools out right now. Pushing in the center doesn't really work with this kind of army. So
He still-
it will be cleaned up by some Ulans later on.
Yeah, he can't even keep pop now. He's at about 160 of 200, whereas Lucas is going to be able to just keep barreling down on him. I mean, hell, Lucas could probably even delete more vills and just go full bore screw it mode and try to push over him at this point, and it would probably work based on how drained Dick is on food.
Actually, why did Dictator make such a huge front base if he knows that he's so low in wood? Like, he could have had like 4k more wood if he didn't make this big FP. Also,
Yeah.
a kinda mistake.
Yeah, I think he was... It's interesting, too, where the towers are. I would probably try and, like, collapse them more on the side.
Yeah, just build them at the net.
Yeah, because it's kind of
Especially
just
with
wonky.
CDBs, it's kind of fast to build.
Yeah. It's just wonky having them here because they're not really doing anything because you're not even fighting there.
Yep.
So you spend all that wood to build them for them to not contribute at all to the fight. Dick's still ahead on coin, but the thing is Dick's only
that's
ahead
really
10k
massive.
coin now, which is not... Like, Lucas is 16k and he's 25k.
Yeah,
That's
he's
not
going
enough to
he
make
has
any
3
difference.
nets now, and he's going to destroy the last net from Dictator now, so it's pretty much over. Unless Lucas kills himself by spamming nets and then die.
I don't see that
Well, that
happening
shouldn't
with
happen.
Lucas having 14k food and 12k wood.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way he's gonna spam himself out before he would kill Dick.
Yeah, and he's too smart for that. So he's trying to get the last net post now. And Dictator can't really stop him. Dictator is trying to wall the center of the map and try to focus only on that side, but
I mean, it's the smart choice because, as I was saying, when you're in a split situation, you're just spamming and you're gonna burn your own economy. So it makes sense to try and collapse on him from two sides and take his nats back. I mean, if he doesn't, he's basically guaranteed dead, especially if he's at an econ disadvantage.
He's trying to shut down the net posts from Lucas right now. Just trying to drag the game a little bit longer. Lucas already made his first heavy cannon. It's a little bit behind, he forgot about it.
Well,
And
Dick
he's
is
also pushing into his FP, and I guess Dictator's out of food again, right?
Yeah, Dick's basically been floating around 100 to 500 food for forever now.
I think if he traded later, he would have won, because when he had decent amount of food and wood, he didn't really train much compared to Lucas. They were quite even in score until he lost his food bank. So yeah.
Yeah.
A big mistake. He's still trying to get a hold in nets, but that's a desperate move, to be honest, because he can't really do anything versus 4 net posts. It's just getting overrun. And he can't really spam muskets to defend it because they are too...
Lucas is actually draining his food a decent amount. He's at like 6k now, so if he overcommits to the nats, he actually could run himself out of food before he could kill Dick completely. However, I don't think that's going to happen just based on the fact that he's also kind of taking the center portion as well, so he's solidifying his overall hold on the natives right now.
Yeah. I guess Dictator gonna be mad again about himself for doing a stupid mistake.
It really makes me wonder if we've gone overboard with the nerfs on French as well.
No, it's fine. It's just like a bad decision from Dictator. It would have been a really close game if he traded later, in my opinion. And also maybe had exotic hardwood in his deck. And he didn't really like abuse the church card to get like any ground on nets, so I don't know, just some bad decisions from Dictator in my opinion.
That's true. Especially I feel like the decision to not try to contest the nats more was a poor decision, because if he's going to have the larger start army, he should try to contest that.
At least of the area between both nets, and just then focus on the center fight.
Yeah, if he takes like, say he just has a little bit of control over that first nat post, enough to contest it for a minute or two, like that can give him enough to get into a really good position, secure his nats stably, and then have the position in the center to push from. And if he's also forcing Lucas to split pop around, that's generally a situation where the guy with more army isn't going to lose as much, so they can just kind of bank a little bit more, and that might have helped to recover his food deficit as well.
Actually, we missed a jump from Dictator on the left side.
Oh.
He almost got through all balls, but then was stopped by, I guess, a net spam from Lucas.
Yeah.
So.
And Dick is now completely out of coin. He has
Lucas
50
is
coin.
actually rising again in scores. So.
Dick has 50 coin now. He has glorious 7k food, but no coin and no wood to even build plantations, really. Yeah. So the two plantations or handful of plantations he already has are all he can really rely on.
Yeah, Lucas just has to be patient now and just shell down the walls and then spam a few minkers in, and then it should be over.
Shell down the walls. Shell down the walls, just wall up his stuff as well, so that like a jump like that can't happen again from Dick. There's no more weird shenanigans. And just take control and let it sit, because he'll win if he just drags it out. You should also really put like a mortar on this. Hopefully my pings don't show to everyone. Hopefully they just show to me.
For us both. Yeah, GG.
GG. Oh, we've got to resign. I would have put like one mortar just to shell that FB though too, because that would have even more. Like he's already winning, but it would have sealed the deal.
Yeah, just compare how many nets Lucas made in Dictator in comparison. Like the double amount.
And you can even see Dick was being more cost efficient. His kill ratio is better. He just couldn't sustain the spam, which is what really hurt him.
No, we didn't really remove cuirassiers. Actually, they weren't really super OP as people said. They were just good versus noobs, to be honest, because they don't really know how to make a decent army composition. But if you always have some anti-cav out, cuirassiers are even not that great on the normal patch, to be honest, especially versus nets, because your minkas are so strong versus cav.
Yeah, and I think Germany in general also has the tools to pretty easily counter even regular Corsairs because of the fact that they have Doppelsoldners, Incas plus war
German
wagons.
is one of the strongest thieves versus France, also on the RE patch, because of the strong anti-cav.
Yeah, they basically make it a non-issue. So the next matchup will be Dictator versus Sabusa. Wow.
Wow, you're so
Freudian
biased.
slip.
You're
So biased. The next matchup will be Lucas L99 versus Sabusa. Not Dictator. Surprisingly enough, actually, I think anyone going in would have expected Dick to actually be the person who would have gone 2-0 yesterday, and furthermore, I think Dick would have been favored in this kind of rematch against Lucas as well. So
yeah, I guess he just made some mistakes. He won't do them again in the next tournament for sure. So he learns from these mistakes.
And no, Dick did not rage. Dick respectfully just GG'd and quit. Granted, he's probably not happy with himself because Dick takes it hard on himself when he loses, pretty hard.
And he knew it was actually both losses were because of bad decisions. So yeah, not real. Lucas played well. It's okay, but I guess it was mostly because Dictator traded too late. Actually, in both games versus Sabusa too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, because Lucas didn't really outplay him. Lucas was actually lucky in some point.
Well, Lucas correctly exploited the situation, and
Yeah, he did.
he did all the right plays to basically
he
capitalize.
played this matchup correctly, yeah.
However, I agree that it was more Dictator's mistakes that lost him the game rather than Lucas's correct play, which isn't to take anything away from Lucas. Just playing the matchup correctly is exactly what you need to do when someone is making mistakes. If you're not, then, well, you're winning. I think that it's actually surprising to me the decisions that that Dick has made in this tournament, and as far as Civ matchups. If you think or know you are the better player, you should pretty much always pick a mirror, in my opinion, because if you're truly the best player, you should always win the mirror, if it's skill-based. So why risk it by picking matchups where there's more potential for error when you could just pick a mirror?
Yeah, that's true.
However, that is actually part of tournament play. If you want to do those things, you're free to, but you are like forcing yourself to essentially make the correct call and play the matchup perfectly.
Yeah, actually, just talked to Lucas, and he also was surprised that Dictator traded so late and didn't even try to like contest the nets.
Yeah.
He thought he would send all his Hurons and Grenadiers to the nets.
Yeah, that's honestly what I was expecting as well. Because when you already have apparently ESO is down, so you can't even sign in right now. Great.
I can.
Well, we're online.
Or Sabusa can't, or what?
People are saying in chat that you can't sign in. So
At least I could reconnect after the game, so I don't know. France doesn't suck, by the way. It's still like, I would say this matchup is almost even, but just some bad decisions.
I do think I do think maybe Corsairs are a little too weak, but it's also hard to tell based on that matchup.
Yeah,
because
there's so much anti-cav in this matchup, so. And he never really, he couldn't really use them at one point to like punish Lucas for making a lot of skirms. So.
Yeah.
I guess you can see how good they are if you play without nets.
So, are you going to be around for the next match or not?
No, I can't.
Okay. Then
Maybe
I
you
will.
can ask Sergio.
Yeah, I'll ask Serge